Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are. Hi, it's Ramsey. Thank you for joining me for Monday Musings. And yes, I am very sunburned. I am very tired. Flew in this morning from Florida, where I was down there competing. I don't even want to use the word competing, where I managed to survive and finish swimming around Key West. I'm talking a little slower today. I still have a bad case of salt mouth, where swimming for 9 hours in the ocean has caused my tongue to swell and my mouth to really be sore. But man, what an experience. And I have had people ask me, like, what the hell are you thinking? Why did you do this? Um, this was the first endurance event that I've done since I have started, I guess, walking a different path and focusing on self improvement and betterment and not trying to actually run from something, but embrace life. As I'm sharing this today, by the way, tell me where you're from. Share where you're from, and if you have any questions about the race or just stuff in general, put it in the chat. Would love to see what you guys are wanting to know or what's resonating with you. So, again, this was the first endurance event that I have done um, since I really have shifted my perspective back in 2018 for what I wanted to do with my life. And man, did it make a huge difference. So, I know last week I talked about the backwards law and how whenever we seek happiness, we tend to feel unhappy. Whenever we seek wealth, we tend to feel poor. And that definitely factored in this race because shortly after it started, and I'll kind of get into the lead in of what happened, but the more I wanted the race to be over, the longer the race was. And there were definitely times where I wanted to quit. I actually tried to quit twice, and there wasn't a boat around that would pick me up. So I thought, F it, let's just keep going. And I can't thank Marcus enough for being my kayaker there the whole time. So um, I know people look at this and they think not just what did this entail, but what all it took a lot to get ready to do this. Swimming in the pool for 3.5 hours nonstop, getting massages, not because I wanted a nice relaxing massage, but because I couldn't move my shoulders. They were locked up from all the training. Um, listening to my body. I was sick for 2 weeks before the race. I only swam one long swim. Went out to Kona to train for a little bit with Marcus. Um, Life is hard. So I don't know if you've heard the expression "choose your hard," right? Like it's this race was hard, but so is not doing anything. So is sitting on the couch day after day and wondering what life would look like. That's hard. Being in shape is hard. Being overweight is hard. Being wealthy is hard. Being poor is hard. It's okay. Being being wealthy is a little easier than being poor. I'll give it that. But everything has its challenges, and it's a matter of what do you want your experience to look like. Once the race started, I had some goggles on, obviously, but about a half mile in, I realized these goggles were terrible. They were leaking. They were an old pair of goggles I had, but they were clear because it wasn't as sunny. And, um, part of life and events, whether it's this race or something else, is being ready for challenges and being prepared. So Marcus and I did everything we could going into this race to prepare. And this whole race, just anything that I'm talking about this race, think about it as kind of a metaphor for life, for whatever you're going through in life. Um, so we had a plan that we thought would work. And when we had to adjust, we adjusted. So managed to luckily change my goggles out after they were leaking and put on a new pair of more tinted goggles about a mile in. And that made a lot of difference. I could function, I could see. It was very helpful. And then about half a mile past that, this Navy vessel comes sailing in because we're passing that. Sorry, not Navy, Coast Guard. I know Ezekiel will be mad at me if he's watching this. A Coast Guard vessel came in, and we literally just had to stop in the water to let this boat pass. But the boat couldn't just go in because there were swimmers in front of us. So the boat had to wait for those swimmers to go. Meanwhile, we were just hanging out, waiting for that. And that took a little bit of time, but what could we do? We just sat there and waited. And once it passed, we kept going. And there were a lot of challenges in this race. Jellyfish, I've got some jellyfish stings on my neck and on my chest. And we were getting this one part of the island where they said, oh, well, the current is just going to carry you right on through and you'll help make up time. Well, that would have been the case had I been a little faster, but the tide had actually shifted. And so by the time that we had gotten there, looking down, and it was gorgeous to see the bottom of the ocean there, and the coral and the seaweed, until I started noticing that the seaweed was gently blowing or drifting towards me, meaning that we were fighting the tide. And so for about 8 miles, we were fighting the tide, and it was challenging. But those moments where it was like, oh my God, what am I doing? I still have 9 miles left, or I still have 8 miles left. The thing that was so helpful was coming back to this moment, meaning the moment there in the race where it didn't matter how far the finish line was. I was just there in that moment and realizing that, all right, well, I'm here. Let's just enjoy this. I'm swimming in the ocean with my best friend next to me. Man, what an incredible experience this is, and getting to feel the water under my hand, and even I was swallowing salt water and having to come up for air, and having Marcus give me some of the water that I had to drink, just embracing all of it, because that's what this race and life really is about, right? Like the more we're in a hurry to get done with things we're doing, the less we're able to just be here, man. And I know that sounds so oversimplified, but that's really all there is to it. Is the more I was just able to be where I was, the easier it was to enjoy it, not just get through it, not just suffer through it, but to actually enjoy it, to actually enjoy the race, enjoy where I was. And I know I quoted Alan Watts last week. I'm going to quote him again this week because he's a brilliant philosopher. But a quote of his that really resonated with me was, the real secret of life is to be completely engaged with what you're doing here and now. And instead of calling it work, realize that it's play. And I remember that while I was swimming, and it made me think, I'm just playing in the ocean right now. I'm just playing. It's like I called my buddy, hey, Marcus, let's go down to Key West and let's just go have fun in the water. And we did. Now, we also cursed a lot. We were also, about 3 miles in, when we're waiting for the Coast Guard vessel, Marcus tells me that he's like, man, I don't feel good at all. And there's a part of me that's like, oh my gosh, like we're going to have to quit because of Marcus. And then I got like, oh, sweet. Like this is my out. I don't have to do this, because he's going to have to quit and then I'll quit. And then I thought, like, how selfish, Ramsey, what, like he's out here to be here for you. And I'm asking the guy, so what's wrong? What are you doing? And he hadn't taken any electrolytes. And so I said, all right, let's put some Noon tablets in your water. And then he ended up feeling better. And that made me feel good. But realizing how much your mind just plays games with you whenever you're in situations that are challenging, where it's like, man, you should just drop out, looking for any excuse to quit. My knee is scraped up, I hit coral, or the tide going against me, or stopping for a Coast Guard vessel. There was a point when we came around the north side of the island where, not exaggerating, 15 jet skis and like 5 boats were coming by, and we just had to stop. They didn't close it down for boat traffic. And then when we came around into the final, what we thought was the final mile, but was the final 2.5 miles, because there was no one out on the course telling us how far we were. The race officials had given us wrong information on some things. There was a relay team there, and the guy in the boat with these two girls that were relay swimming, and he had temperature gauges, and we asked him, like, what's the water temperature showing up? And he says, well, it's 90.5 degrees right now where you guys are at. That's the warmest water I think I've ever swam in. And I was frustrated. That was one of the points where I'm like, F this, where's a boat? Let me just get out of the water. And I wasn't going to get into their boat. The boat didn't come along. So I thought, all right, let's just keep going. This is the experience I'm having. I'm here now. Let's just go. Let's just see how far I can go. And I focused on that process, focused on, all right, let's just keep swimming. And I just kind of like Dory from Finding Nemo. And I know several of you told me that in the support messages you gave me. And I was very appreciative for that. Um, there are a lot of lessons that I learned. One, to make sure that I check if my watch is in meters or yards because it was saying like 20,000. And I'm like, well, if that's meters, I'm done by now. But if it's yards, I still have another 2,000. Um, so a lot of little things we could have done different, but we were just there to have to finish it, to be in that moment. Um, would I do it again? Yeah. And it's not tomorrow. I'm sore, I'm beat up, but man, what a great experience. And for those of you that are like, oh my gosh, I could never, it's like, well, yes, you could. You could do this. And it might not be swimming around an island, but what is it that you want to do that you're not doing or that you're not even pushing yourself to try? Your life is now. It's this moment. And every moment you wait for things to be better, it's passing you by and you're writing your legacy today. And that's all your legacy is a series of days that are strung together that define the context of what your life was. And whenever I'm out there in the water, I'm not thinking about what my legacy is going to be from that. I'm just enjoying that moment. And then those moments, those billion moments that you have in your life strung together, that makes up the context of what you did here on earth with your time. So if you find yourself doing the same thing day after day, that's your legacy. And if you're okay with that, then great, then be okay with that. But if you're not, what are you doing to shape who you are? What are you doing to shape the impact that you have on your family, on your friends, and your community? What are you doing to challenge yourself to experience everything that you can in this life? Because what are you waiting for? Um, I'd studied open water swimming and what do I need to do to be able to do this and spending time in the pool and doing this and that and the other. But there was nothing like just going out there and doing the damn thing. And you can study what it would be like to start your own business. You can study what it would be like to run a marathon, study what it would be like to to be in a successful relationship. But what are you doing? What experience are you having? And what's the bullshit you're telling yourself as to why you're not doing it? Why aren't you trying just in general? Like, I guess full stop. Why aren't you trying? What are the excuses you're telling yourself as to why you can't do different than what you've always done? So, if anything, please let this be, I don't say wake up call, reminder, just a vote of possibility that you can do whatever you put your mind to. And there will be times where you will want to quit. Um, there was a period where fear really gripped me about a little past halfway of the race, because most of the race, it's rather shallow and you can see the bottom. And then there was a large section that was dredged out for boats to come through. And as soon as we went over that, the water got really cold. And even though the water was clear and I could see my hand fully extended, I couldn't see the bottom. I couldn't see anything. And my irrational fear of sharks took over. And Marcus, God bless him, was doing the best he could to stay in my sight line to help, because this was a large open channel and we didn't know there was a bunch of trees. We couldn't find the inlet and he's trying to navigate. And I got scared. I got really scared. I told him, hey, Marcus, don't I need you, man. I need you right here by me because I'm scared right now. I felt like my dog Gizmo, whenever I took him kayaking a couple of weeks ago, he jumped out of the kayak because he was scared. Had I been able to jump up in the kayak with Marcus, I would have. I was just, have you ever had that moment, whether it's you're in the woods and you think, oh my God, I know there's a bear behind me, or it's whatever it is, just that fear just grips you. That happened. And I had to calm my heart rate down and say, okay, I'm going to be fine. Just one arm in front of the other. Let's just keep going. And it's okay in life if fear grips you. If you feel like I can't go on, I can't do this goal that I've set out to do. It's okay to be scared, but damn it, do it anyway. Do the thing. Fear just keeps you from trying. Fear prevents you from moving forward, from accomplishing your goals. And just acknowledging that it was fear. Okay, Ramsey, I'm scared right now. Naming it. All right, I'm scared. What can I do? Keep aiming for where I think the inlet is. Man, yeah, I'm kind of at a loss for words. I don't know if I was going to go live today. It hurts to talk, but I am so thankful for this experience and learning to keep a calm head whenever I was in the water. Learning to trust Marcus, trust the process, trust that I had done the training, and be present, be in the moment. And when tempers got flared, like sometimes Marcus would need to eat. So he'd paddle a little further up ahead of me to eat, but then I couldn't see him and I'm looking up and I'm wasting energy. And I'm like, GD Marcus, I can't see you, slow down. And he's like, I'm trying to eat. And then, all right, Ramsey, realizing that that's not doing us any good. And just, whenever I would come up for air later, I'm just like, I would say, as I'm breathing, please slow down. And that just ended up just being so much more effective. Because if I would get angry, he would get angry. We're not in sync. We're not a team. We're not communicating. And then it just wasn't doing us any good. So learning to control my emotions, and calm down and recognize that things are going to go wrong. And for those of you men out there who have had trouble, not even just trouble, or just wanted to understand your emotions and what you're going through, just a shameless plug that next week I'm doing a free class on emotional mastery for men. 5-day workshop next week, completely free. Going to be, if you want to register, bergeronwellbeing.com/emotions, bergeronwellbeing.com/emotions. And yeah, so feel free to join me. That starts next week. So if you have any questions, put them in the chat, even if it's not live. Let me know where you're listening to this from, and any questions you have, be more than happy to answer them for you. And you can do great things. You can challenge yourself. You can surprise yourself with what you're capable of. You really can. I didn't think I was going to be able to finish the swim, and I did. Even the times when it was challenging, just keep going. No matter what you're going through, if you're scared, be scared. Keep going. If you are sad or worried, that's okay. It's all right to have those feelings. But don't give up. Live your life. Don't live your life in fear. Don't live your life with what if. Don't live your life with should have. Do the damn thing. So thank you for listening. And hopefully next Monday I'll have my voice back and be able to share what other downloads I may have gotten. Let me know what your biggest takeaway is. Thank you for listening for this rambling video. I apologize. I'm not going all out of sleep, but let me know in the comments what your biggest takeaway was. I appreciate it, and have a great rest of your week.